वापस बोल रही हूँ और अगर तुम्हें
Assalamualaikum everyone. My name is Natif Tawfiq in Malay. I am one student at the Tahan School Samad campus. Today I will talk about to Chatgpt. My topic is very interesting. What makes us love and why is it good for us? So Chatgpt, my first question to you: what is love and how is it defined scientifically? Please long answer on this question, please.
Of course. So, charity law refers to the legal framework that governs how charitable organizations operate. It defines what qualifies as a charity, how they must be structured, and what obligations they have to the public. It typically sets out rules on transparency, governance, fundraising, and how funds must be used. The aim is to ensure that charitable organizations act in the public interest, remain accountable, and maintain public trust. These laws often vary by country, so each jurisdiction will have its own specifics on what is considered a charitable purpose and how these entities must report and operate. Of course, let's dive even deeper. So, charity law not only defines what a charity is, but it also outlines who can be a trustee, the duties those trustees have, and how a charity must ensure its activities align with its stated purposes. For example, in many countries, a charity must apply for and maintain a special status, often tax exempt, if it meets certain public benefit criteria. These laws also mandate regular reporting, ensuring transparency in how donations are used. Additionally, that's a हाँ, बिल्कुल, जब कोई चैरिटी कानून का उल्लंघन करती है तो उसे अलग-अलग Of course. So when a charity violates the law, the consequences can vary. They might lose their charitable status, face fines, or even have their operations suspended. In severe cases, trustees or responsible individuals can be held personally liable. These laws exist to protect donors, beneficiaries, and the public, ensuring that charitable funds are used exactly as intended.
Okay, nice. So, which part of the brain are responsible for laughter? And is laughter a reflex or a learned behavior? Please now.
Absolutely. So, the board of trustees or directors is typically the part of the charity that's responsible for ensuring legal compliance. Of course. Let's break that down in detail. So, the part of the brain most often associated with moral reasoning and ethical decision making is the prefrontal cortex. Specifically, the ventromedial prefrontal cortex plays a key role in evaluating moral consequences, balancing emotions, and guiding behavior. Meanwhile, other areas, like the amygdala, can influence emotional reactions, and the anterior cingulate cortex is also involved in monitoring conflict between moral principles and actions. So essentially, moral behavior is shaped by a network of brain areas working together. हाँ, बिल्कुल, मैं समझ गई। अगर हाँ, बिल्कुल, मैं सुन रही हूँ और मैं अब पूरी तरह ध्यान से तुम्हारी बात ही सुनूंगी, बिना किसी और बिंदु को बीच में लाने के। कोई बात
My next question is why do people laugh at unexpected situations? Please long answer.
Of course. So, in unexpected situations, the law can influence behavior by providing a clear framework for decision making when things are uncertain. For example, if a sudden crisis occurs, the laws around public safety, emergency powers, or ethical responsibilities guide how people respond. In these moments, legal structures help maintain order, ensure accountability, and provide a sense of fairness even when the outcome is uncertain. Absolutely. Let me expand on that. When we talk about unexpected situations, we mean those sudden crises like natural disasters, economic shocks, or unforeseen ethical dilemmas where people aren't sure how to act. In these moments, the law steps in as a guide, offering a set of principles and rules that can help people navigate uncertainty. For instance, in a public health emergency, laws may determine how resources are distributed, or in a sudden financial downturn, laws might guide bailout decisions. Ultimately, the law acts like a stabilizer, ensuring that even in chaos, there's a reference point for what is right, fair, and just. This not only helps protect individuals, but it also preserves trust in institutions, even when circumstances shift unexpectedly.
So my next question to you is why do we sometimes laugh at inappropriate moment, and why is laughter contagious? Is long answer on both of question.
That's a really interesting question. So sometimes law stops being applied in the moment because of practical limitations. For example, when there's ambiguity or the law hasn't been updated for a new context, or when it's too slow to respond to fast changing events. In those gaps, people might rely more on intuition, ethics, or social norms. That's why law is often considered a dynamic system. It works best when it evolves alongside society. In short, law is supposed to guide us, but it isn't always perfectly aligned with every single situation, which is why some moments feel like law is absent or delayed. Of course, let's keep going with a deeper exploration. So, when law fails to act at exactly the right moment, it's often because law is a human construct, and it depends on interpretation, enforcement, and timing. In some cases, courts or lawmakers might take time to catch up with emerging issues like technology, digital privacy, or new economic risks. During that lag, people might act based on personal judgment or immediate practical needs. This is why law often has to be supplemented by ethical reasoning, community norms, or even international standards. In the long run, when society faces a gap, it can push for reform so that the law, over time, better anticipates and responds to these unforeseen circumstances. In this way, law is not static. It is a living system, shaped by human experience and driven by the need for fairness in unpredictable times.
So my next question to you is how does culture influence what we find funny? Can laughter improve communication between people? Please long answer on this question, okay?
Absolutely. So, culture plays a crucial role in shaping what we find funny because humor is deeply tied to shared values, experiences, and language. When people have a common cultural background, they understand the references, subtleties, and nuances that make something humorous. This shared context creates a sense of connection, making communication smoother and more engaging. When we can laugh together, we bridge gaps, we reduce tension, open up dialogue, and build trust. Humor, in this sense, becomes a kind of social glue, allowing people to communicate more openly. When humor is culturally informed, it can also help us